Listen, anybody can tell you they love you, but when somebody looks you in the eyes and says, I trust you, they are giving you something much deeper than affection. Love can be spoken in a moment, but trust is earned through thousands of moments when nobody was watching. And if you ever become the kind of person people can trust with their heart, their secrets, their dreams, and their vulnerability, you have become somebody truly valuable. We live in a world where everybody wants to be loved. People want the messages, they want the attention, they want somebody calling them beautiful, handsome, amazing, special. They want somebody to say, I need you. And there is nothing wrong with wanting love. Love is powerful. Love can heal places inside you that you didn't even know were hurting. But there is something greater, trust. Because when somebody loves you, they may love the way you make them feel. They may love your presence. They may love your appearance. They may love the memories you create together. But when somebody trusts you, they are saying something different. They are saying, I believe your character is stronger than your temptation. They are saying, I believe you will tell me the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. They are saying, I believe you will protect what I have entrusted to you. And that is a compliment that cannot be purchased. Think about the people in your life who you genuinely trust. You probably don't trust them because they promised you they were trustworthy. You trust them because they demonstrated it. Maybe there was a moment when you were struggling and they stayed. Maybe you made a mistake and instead of humiliating you, they corrected you privately. Maybe you told them something deeply personal and years later, they still never used it against you. Maybe you weren't in the room when somebody questioned your character and they defended you anyway. That's trust. Trust is built when your behavior remains consistent, even when there is nothing to gain. And that's where many people get confused about relationships. They think love is proven by how intensely somebody feels. No, love is not only about feelings. Love is also about character, because feelings change. People get angry. People get disappointed. People get tired. People get tempted. People go through difficult seasons. But character asks a different question. Who are you when your emotions are telling you to do one thing, but your values tell you to do another? That's the person you really are. Anybody can be loyal when loyalty is convenient. Anybody can tell the truth when the truth makes them look good. Anybody can show up when everything is going perfectly. But what happens when life gets hard? What happens when nobody is checking your phone? What happens when you're alone? What happens when you have an opportunity to betray someone's trust and you know you could get away with it? That's where your character speaks. And I want you to understand something today. Being trusted is not something you demand. It is something you become worthy of. You cannot walk into somebody's life and say, you need to trust me. No, you have to give them reasons. You have to let your actions introduce you before your words do. There was once a man who constantly complained that nobody believed him. Every relationship he entered eventually became filled with suspicion. He would say, why doesn't she trust me? Why does everybody question me? Why don't people believe what I say? But one day somebody close to him asked him a question that changed everything. They said, have you ever asked yourself why? He became defensive. He thought about all the times people had questioned him, but then he started looking at his own behavior. He remembered the promises he had broken, and the calls he had ignored, the stories that didn't add up, the secrets he had shared, the times he had said one thing and done another. And suddenly he realized something painful. He had been asking people to trust a version of him that his actions had never introduced. That realization hurt, but it also set him free. Because once you recognize the problem, you can start becoming the solution. And maybe that's where you are today. Maybe somebody doesn't trust you anymore. Maybe you hurt somebody. Maybe you broke a promise. Maybe you weren't honest when you should have been. Or maybe you're on the other side of it. Maybe you trusted someone completely and they betrayed you. You gave them access to your heart and they treated it carelessly. You believed their words and their actions eventually exposed the truth. And now you're asking yourself, how am I ever supposed to trust again? The answer is not to become cold. The answer is to become wise. Don't punish everybody for what one person did. Don't allow somebody else's dishonesty to turn you into somebody you don't recognize. You can have boundaries without building walls. You can be careful without becoming bitter. You can forgive without giving somebody unlimited access to you. And most importantly, you can learn that trust should be earned gradually. You don't owe everybody immediate access to the deepest parts of you. Let people reveal themselves. Watch consistency. Watch how they treat people who cannot do anything for them. Watch how they behave when they're angry. Watch what happens when they don't get what they want. Watch whether their private behavior matches their public image, because words can introduce a person, but time reveals a person. And that's why trust is such a powerful compliment. When somebody trusts you, they are not simply saying, I love you. They're saying, I feel safe with you. And there are few things more valuable than making another human being feel safe. Not controlled, not possessed, not manipulated, safe enough to tell you the truth, safe enough to admit they are struggling, safe enough to make a mistake without fearing that you'll destroy them for it, safe enough to give you their heart without constantly wondering whether you're going to use it against them. That kind of trust takes time. And if you have it, protect it. Because once trust is broken, an apology may open the door, but only consistent behavior can rebuild the house. So don't spend your life chasing people who say they love you. Become the person whose presence makes people feel secure. Become the person whose word means something. Become the person who keeps promises when nobody is watching. Become the person who doesn't need to hide because your private life can survive the light. Because one day, somebody may look at you and say, I trust you. And when they do, understand what they're really saying. They're saying, I have seen enough of your character to place something precious in your hands. That is not ordinary. That is not cheap. That is one of the greatest compliments another human being can give you. And once you understand that, you stop chasing the appearance of being loved, and you start building the character that deserves to be trusted. There comes a point in life when you stop asking, does this person love me? And you start asking a much more important question. Can I trust this person with the life I am building? Because love without trust can become exhausting. You can love somebody deeply and still feel alone. You can sleep next to somebody and still wonder what they are hiding. You can hear I love you every morning and still feel uncertain because their actions keep contradicting their words. And that is why trust is so powerful. Trust brings peace. When you trust somebody, you don't have to investigate every silence. You don't have to analyze every message. You don't have to constantly wonder where they are, who they're talking to, or whether their promises mean anything. You can breathe. And peace is something money cannot buy. Think about how different your life becomes when you know that somebody has your back. You don't have to constantly prove yourself. You don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. You can simply be human. That's what real trust creates. It creates room for honesty. It creates room for growth. It creates room for mistakes without turning every mistake into the end of the relationship. But here's the part that many people don't want to hear. If you want trustworthy people in your life, you have to become trustworthy yourself. You can't demand honesty while telling half-truths. You can't demand loyalty while keeping backup options. You can't demand respect while disrespecting people when you're angry. You can't demand transparency while hiding everything that makes you uncomfortable. Your standards for others should begin with the standards you hold yourself to. And this is where maturity begins. Maturity is realizing that relationships aren't just about finding the right person. They're also about becoming the right person. Everybody talks about finding a loyal partner. Everybody wants someone who communicates. Everybody wants someone who keeps promises. Everybody wants someone emotionally mature. But ask yourself this question. Are you that person? When you give somebody your word, do you keep it? When somebody tells you something privately, can they trust you not to repeat it? When you're angry, do you become cruel? When you're tempted, do your values disappear? When you make a mistake, can you say, I was wrong? Because trust doesn't require perfection. It requires accountability. You don't have to be flawless to be trusted. You have to be honest about your flaws. There's a huge difference. A trustworthy person doesn't say, I never make mistakes. A trustworthy person says, I made a mistake and I'm going to take responsibility for it. Now, that's strength. Real strength isn't pretending you're incapable of failure. Real strength is refusing to hide behind excuses when you fail. And sometimes the hardest thing you can do is tell somebody the truth when the truth might cost you something. Imagine you have made a mistake and nobody knows. You could hide it. You could create a story. You could manipulate the situation. You could protect your image. Or you could stand there and say, I did it. I was wrong. I hurt you. And I don't expect you to trust me immediately. I'm going to show you through my actions that I can do better. That's character. And here's something important. If you broke someone's trust, don't demand that they heal on your schedule. You don't get to hurt somebody on Monday and demand that they trust you again by Friday. Healing takes time. Trust takes evidence. If you want to rebuild it, stop making speeches about how much you've changed and start living differently. Let your consistency speak. Let your patience speak. Let your changed behavior speak. Because eventually, people stop believing what you say and start believing what you repeatedly do. That's true in relationships. It's true in friendships. It's true in families. It's true in business. It's true everywhere. Your reputation is not built by what you say about yourself. It's built by what people experience from you. And I want you to think about the people who trust you right now. Maybe your child trusts you. Maybe your partner trusts you. Maybe your friend trusts you. Maybe someone at work depends on you. Maybe somebody has told you something they have never told anyone else. Don't take that lightly. Somebody's trust is a responsibility. When someone tells you their secret, don't turn it into entertainment. When someone shows you their weakness, don't turn it into ammunition. When someone gives you access to their heart, don't use that access to control them. Because vulnerability is sacred. People don't forget how you treated them when they were at their weakest. And that's why the strongest relationships aren't built when everything is beautiful. They're built during difficult moments. When two people can sit down after an argument and still choose honesty. When they can disagree without destroying each other. When one person can say, I'm hurt, and the other person doesn't immediately become defensive. When somebody can say, I need help, and the other person doesn't make them feel weak. That's trust. And maybe you have been looking for love in all the wrong places because you have been measuring love by intensity. You think the person who calls 20 times loves you more. You think jealousy means they care more. You think obsession means passion. You think somebody being afraid to lose you automatically means they value you. Not always. Sometimes love is loud, but trust is quiet. Trust doesn't need to constantly announce itself. You see it in consistency. You see it in patience. You see it in reliability. You see it in the little things. The person who says they'll call and actually calls. The person who says they'll show up and actually shows up. The person who knows your weaknesses but never weaponizes them. The person who can disagree with you and still respect you. The person who doesn't disappear when life becomes inconvenient. That's the kind of person you should value. And that's the kind of person you should become. Because life will teach you that attention is easy to receive. Love can be easy to claim, but trust is earned slowly. And once you understand that, you stop being impressed by promises. You start watching patterns. You stop asking, what did they say? You start asking, what do they consistently do? You stop chasing people who make you anxious. You start appreciating people who give you peace. You stop confusing chemistry with character. You stop confusing attraction with loyalty. You stop confusing words with evidence. And suddenly, your relationships begin to change because your standards have changed. And when your standards change, your choices change. When your choices change, your life changes. So don't just pray for somebody who will love you. Pray for somebody who will respect you, protect your trust, honor your vulnerability, and remain consistent when nobody is watching. And don't just ask for that kind of person. Become that kind of person. Because the greatest compliment isn't always, I love you. Sometimes it's much quieter. Sometimes it's simply, I trust you. And when somebody can say those words and mean them completely, you should understand that you have been given something precious, something that took time, something that cannot be faked, something that cannot be bought, trust. And your responsibility is not just to receive it. Your responsibility is to protect it. Because love may open the door, but trust is what allows somebody to stay inside without fear. There's a lesson life teaches you sooner or later, and that lesson is this. People may forget the promises you made. They may forget the compliments you gave them, and they may even forget the beautiful moments you shared. But they will remember how safe they felt when they trusted you. That is why your character matters more than your reputation. Your reputation is what people think about you. Your character is who you are when nobody is there to applaud you. And eventually, character always shows. You can pretend to be loyal for a while. You can pretend to be honest. You can pretend to care, but you cannot pretend forever. Time has a way of exposing everything. And that's why you should never become obsessed with convincing people that you're a good person. Just become one. Let your life speak. Let your decisions speak. Let your consistency speak. Because when you have nothing to hide, you don't have to spend your life explaining yourself. Think about the person you trust most. What makes you trust them? It probably isn't because they're perfect. Maybe they have made mistakes. Maybe they have bad days. Maybe they've disappointed you before. But somewhere along the way, they showed you that their heart could be trusted. They showed you that when things get difficult, they don't run. When conflict happens, they don't immediately betray you. When temptation appears, they remember their values. When nobody is watching, they still do what is right. That is what separates real character from performance. And if you want to build a meaningful life, stop focusing so much on being admired and start focusing on being dependable. Admiration feels good. Trust creates impact. People may admire your success, your appearance, your confidence, your money, your achievements, but when life falls apart, they don't call the person with the biggest image. They call the person they trust. When somebody loses their job, who do they call? When somebody's heart is broken, who do they call? When somebody has made a terrible mistake and doesn't know what to do, who do they call? They call the person who won't judge them, expose them, or abandon them. They call the person who can hold their truth without turning it into gossip. Be that person. Be the person whose name brings peace instead of anxiety. Be the person who doesn't need to know everything, but can be trusted with what you are told. Be the person who doesn't betray people simply because you're angry with them. Because here's the truth. Anybody can be good to you when they're happy with you. The real test comes when they're disappointed. That's when you discover character. How do you treat someone when you're angry? How do you speak about them when they're not around? How do you handle their mistakes? How do you respond when they say no? How do you behave when they cannot give you what you want? These moments reveal you. And sometimes the greatest expression of love is not holding tighter. It's respecting someone's freedom. Trust does not mean possession. It does not mean controlling someone's phone. It does not mean demanding constant updates. It does not mean becoming suspicious every time someone needs space. Trust says, I know who you are, and I know who I am. That kind of security is powerful. And if somebody constantly gives you reasons not to trust them, don't ignore that reality just because you love them. Love does not require you to abandon your common sense. You can love someone and still recognize that they are not safe for your heart. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can wish somebody well without giving them access to you again. That's not hatred, that's wisdom. Because trust is precious, and you should not hand it to people who repeatedly prove they don't know how to carry it. But don't become so afraid of betrayal that you refuse to trust anyone. That's another kind of prison. If you close your heart completely because one person broke it, the person who hurt you gets to control your future. Don't give them that power. Heal, learn, grow, and trust again, but trust wisely. Give people the opportunity to demonstrate who they are. Don't rush intimacy. Don't confuse attention with commitment. Don't confuse words with consistency. Let time do its job, because time is one of the greatest truth tellers you will ever have. People can maintain an image for a few days, maybe even a few months, but eventually patterns emerge. And once you learn to watch patterns instead of promises, you become harder to manipulate. You become wiser. You become calmer. You stop chasing explanations. You stop begging for reassurance. You stop trying to convince someone to treat you well. You simply observe. And if their actions repeatedly show you that they cannot be trusted, you have your answer. But there is another side to this lesson. You also have to look at yourself. Ask yourself honestly, would I trust me? If you were somebody else, would you trust your word? Would you trust your intentions? Would you trust your loyalty? Would you trust you with a secret? Would you trust you with their heart? That question can change your life, because sometimes we're so busy asking people to prove themselves that we never stop to examine ourselves. Maybe you say you want loyalty, but you entertain attention that threatens your relationship. Maybe you say you value honesty, but you hide the truth when it becomes inconvenient. Maybe you say you respect people, but you speak badly about them when they're not around. Maybe you want somebody to keep their promises, but you casually break yours. If that's you, don't be ashamed. Be honest, because awareness is the beginning of change. You can become better. You can become dependable. You can become somebody whose word carries weight. Start small. If you say you'll call, call. If you make a promise, keep it. If you make a mistake, admit it. If you hurt someone, apologize without adding excuses. If someone trusts you with something private, protect it. If you're tempted to do something that would betray somebody, remember the person who believed in you. Character is built in ordinary moments, not in front of crowds, not when cameras are on, not when people are praising you. Character is built in the quiet decisions nobody sees, and those quiet decisions eventually become your identity. So build an identity you can be proud of. Become the person whose yes means yes. Become the person whose no means no. Become the person who doesn't need to make promises they don't intend to keep. Become the person who can walk away from temptation, because your values are more important than a temporary feeling, because one day somebody will trust you with something priceless: their heart, their dream, their child, their future, their secret, their vulnerability. And when that moment comes, don't take it casually. Understand what it means. They are placing something fragile in your hands. Don't crush it. Don't exploit it. Don't use it for power. Protect it. Honor it, because being loved can make you feel special. But being trusted means somebody has seen enough of your character to believe that what they place in your hands will be safe. That is a different level of respect. And if you want to leave something meaningful behind in this life, don't worry only about how many people loved you. Ask yourself how many people felt safe because you were there. How many people could tell you the truth? How many people knew you would keep your word? How many people knew you would stand beside them when life became difficult? How many people became stronger because they knew they could count on you? That's legacy. Not applause, not popularity, not attention, trust. So from this day forward, stop trying so hard to convince people that you're worthy. Live in such a way that your actions make the argument for you. Let your consistency speak louder than your promises. Let your integrity speak louder than your image. Let your character speak louder than your words, because at the end of the day, love may make somebody choose you, but trust is what makes them feel safe, choosing you again and again. And if somebody can look at your life, see your imperfections, know your history, witness your struggles, and still say, I trust you, then don't take those words lightly. They are not simply complimenting you. They are honoring the person you have become. And that may be one of the greatest compliments life can ever give you. Listen, when this life is over, people may not remember every word you spoke, every achievement you collected, or every person who admired you. But they will remember how you made them feel when they placed their trust in your hands. They will remember whether you protected their heart or broke it, whether you kept your word or abandoned it, whether your presence brought them peace or made them afraid. And that is why being trusted is such a powerful compliment. Love can be expressed in a moment. Trust is proven over time. Someone can tell you, I love you, and mean it sincerely, but when they say, I trust you, they are giving you something deeper. They are saying, I believe your character will protect what matters to me. Don't ever take that lightly. If someone trusts you, protect that trust. If someone tells you a secret, keep it. If someone shows you their weakness, don't weaponize it. If someone believes in you when you're struggling, remember them when you succeed. If someone gives you their heart, don't treat it like something disposable. And if you have broken someone's trust before, don't spend your life making excuses. Become better. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can change who you are tomorrow. Don't just say you're different, live differently. Let your actions become your apology. Let your consistency become your proof. Let your character become your testimony. And if you're the person whose trust has been broken, remember this. One person's betrayal does not mean everyone deserves your walls. Heal, but don't become bitter. Learn, but don't become cold. Set boundaries, but don't close your heart forever. The right people will not demand that you trust them instantly. They will understand that trust must be earned. They will show you through consistency. They will respect your boundaries. They will keep their promises. They will tell you the truth. They will give you peace instead of confusion. And most importantly, they will make you feel safe enough to be yourself. So stop measuring the value of a relationship only by how much someone loves you. Ask something deeper. Can I trust them? Can they trust me? Can we be honest with each other? Can we protect each other's vulnerability? Can we still respect each other when we're angry? Can we keep choosing integrity when nobody is watching? Because that is where real love becomes powerful. And now, ask yourself one final question. If someone looked at your life today, would they trust you? Would your word mean something? Would your actions match your promises? Would people feel safe giving you their heart? If the answer isn't what you want it to be, don't be discouraged. Now start today, keep one promise, tell one truth, apologize where you need to, protect someone's confidence, choose integrity when nobody is watching, because little decisions become habits. Habits become character, and character becomes the person people know they can trust. At the end of this life, don't chase the title of being the most loved person in the room. Become the person people can count on when the room gets empty. Become the person whose words still mean something when nobody is listening. Become the person whose presence creates peace. Because being loved makes you feel wanted, but being trusted means someone believes you are safe with what matters most, and that is greater. So live your life in a way that makes those words possible. I trust you. Let those words become the quiet reward for a life lived with honesty, loyalty, courage, and character. Because love may touch the heart, but trust reaches the soul.